Welcome back. You're live with Expresso. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know that funky beat means we're about to delve into our latest tech news. And this is very good news for you, as you might already know, courtesy of DION. We have 3 amazing prizes up for grabs. And last week, Friday, we gave away our very first, the Xbox One S, which means you are now left with the choice of either the iPhone 11 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, 2 incredible phones in their own right. And this morning, we are joined by our resident tech expert and all-round nice guy, Mr. Bryan Smith, to give us a review of the Samsung Note 10 and, quite frankly, remind you why you need to be entering this competition and win yourself this phone. I've had the opportunity to play around with it just a little bit, courtesy of Samsung, and it is insanely cool. It feels at times more like a laptop than a
Absolutely,
phone.
That's the benefit of the big screens.
Yeah, and not even a tablet. Like its computing power is amazing, and I do so much work through it. What would you say sets the Note 10 apart from the standard S10?
That's a great question. I think there are a couple of answers to that. So as I intimated earlier, definitely I think one of the biggest draw cards around this phone is that infinity display. So it's one of the largest displays that you can get on a smartphone. And the fact that the bezels, the side profile of it is that much thinner each year around means there's more and more screen.
It's a little TV. It really is.
Basically.
It really is.
There's also the feature, of course, that defines the Note range, that is the stylus. And then again, there is the camera setup as well, which I think Samsung sort of used the Note range each year to really experiment and bring some really interesting technology that we always see falter down in the long run, but the Note range is always where we can access, say, essentially next year's technology first. And I think that's what really makes this phone exciting. Yeah,
it did feel like a quantum leap forward, and massive storage as well. Massive storage and processing power there. The S Pen, previously the stylus, they used to be kind of a novelty. They were nice to have. This has changed the game somewhat. How do you think the mobile device game has changed when you look at it in this current format now, having the S Pen that can do what it can do in this space?
Absolutely. So a couple of years ago, I think we all had the expectation that maybe we would just use, our thumbs and fingers to manipulate our smartphones. But increasingly, more and more manufacturers have been realizing that the stylus is not only a great way to interact with our phones, but it also untaps sort of a huge creative range of input into our phones. And that's what I think the Note stylus does really well and has always done really well. This year, it's made out of one solid piece of plastic, so this is really an engineering feat. And there are a couple of really cool features. So, of course, you can take notes from the lock screen or directly on the phone at all times. There's some really great creative apps if you're feeling you want to get drawing or
we've seen artists create one-of-a-kind beautiful works of art,
And there's also some really cool air gesture features, which means you can use the stylus essentially to control the phone remotely. Absolutely.
I love that. Let's get real here. Most of us buy our smartphone based on the quality of the camera and what we can do with it. I would say, because we've used a lot of the visuals that we've created with the phone on the show itself, almost broadcast quality, how would you set the camera up in the Note 10?
So I think what's awesome about the Note range's camera is that it's always been go anywhere, do anything. There are essentially no limits to what you want to use this camera for in social settings. And I think this year's edition has one of what I think is the best camera setups on the market. So there are essentially 3 lenses. So there's a telephoto for sort of zooming and capturing close-up detail. There's what's determined as a normal wide-angle lens, so that's great for social events, taking pictures of people in social settings. And then there's an ultra-wide-angle lens, which is ideal for capturing architecture, buildings, or wide environments where you can't necessarily get the space or distance immediately to capture a subject in all its detail. So I think sort of those 3 lenses together gives you the ability and flexibility to capture anything you need to in any given moment.
Yep, and an incredible quality in that camera as well. Would you say, because we're obviously quite biased on set at the moment, I have to say, but I've become very biased because I just absolutely love the Note 10. What would you say sets this apart from the iPhone 11? Does it have the edge? How would you give it the edge?
Well, here's the thing. I think both phones at the outset are great. So I think the iPhone 11 is really suited for someone who wants sort of a really easy, intuitive experience from the get-go with all the features they need sort of to navigate the daily life. I think the Note 10, however, is really what you need is a power phone. It's what you want if you want all the latest features on the market, all the frills, all the exciting things that you're probably going to see on common smartphones within the next year or 2 or so. And if you want that technology now with all of the flexibility with the camera and stylus we said, this is the phone for you.
Very diplomatic response. Well done. I forced him to walk a fine line there, buddy. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking a bit of time to really delve into some of the amazing features on this phone, and it could be yours along. Of course, with the iPhone, we have the opportunity to win one of each to stand a chance of winning the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 or the iPhone 11. Just SMS in the keyword DION Wired together as one word, your name and your email address to 33728. We could be calling you live on Friday's show to pick a box and reveal your prize. Plus, when you SMS in, you also stand the chance of winning, this is so cool, the 30-second trolley dash worth a whopping 100,000 Rand in a DION Wired. 30 seconds, you can get a lot, my friend. Remember that SMSs cost R1.50. No free SMSs apply, and that competition is going to close on the 23rd of October at 9 a.m. So get on it, but you can find all the terms and conditions on expressoshow.com.
Stream Fireplace.
DION Wired, where humans go for technology.